Let's focus now on what's happening in the capital city of Kyiv. So far, in the last few days, there was a curfew that was imposed in the capital, which meant people couldn't step out. It was a lull of sorts from all of the shelling that was reported. But now there have been reports of, again, shelling, of strikes being reported in parts of Kyiv, as Russian troops are again focusing 1 month into the war in capturing the citadel.
Nearly a month of this war, nearly a month of endless violence across the beautiful landscape of Ukraine. But there's one city that stands tall despite the Russian shelling. One city that has endured and persisted no matter what Russia has thrown at it. Ukraine's capital of Kyiv, the citadel that Putin wants but hasn't been able to dominate so far. Ukrainian forces are guarding Kyiv with everything they've got. It's where President Volodymyr Zelensky also remains camped.
It was a day of difficult events, difficult conclusions, but it was another day that brought us all closer to our victory, to peace for our state. Glory to Ukraine.
In a significant victory, the key suburb of Makariv is back in Ukrainian control as Russian troops were pushed further away from the capital.
From official sources we receive information. Right now the small city Makariv and almost whole Irpin already in the control is Ukrainian soldier.
Ukraine also put out a video of Russian saboteurs being detained in the capital, pinned down to the ground and taken into custody. But that doesn't mean Russia has backed off. Russian troops blew up a bridge over the Desna River that connects the city of Chernihiv to Kyiv. This bridge was being used for civilian evacuation and humanitarian aid. That is no longer possible, as nothing remains now of that bridge.
There were 2 barrages of rockets fired from multi-barrel rocket launchers, which was about 30 blasts, if I could count them, 15 and then 15, which was also in the eastern part of the city, heavy bombardment. As far as ground forces are concerned, there is not much movement. The reports are Russian forces are digging in and making the defenses on the perimeter of Kyiv city so that in case there's any counterattack from Ukrainian forces, they can stop it. Also, that they are probably trying to encircle the city and stay as such and not trying to enter the city.
So how close is Russia to the capital city? The latest data suggests that Russian efforts to capture Kyiv remain stalemated. Ukrainian defenses have badly disrupted the Russian advance on the east bank of the Dnipro. Russians seem to be now focused on ramping up their presence to the west of Kyiv.
This near to Brovary, it's open information. From the west of Ukraine, from the north, in behind the Lutish, and there is big battle.
Russian troops have been facing an uphill battle getting into Kyiv. Chechens from the Sheikh Mansour Volunteer Battalion also engaged in an intense battle with the Russian military near Kyiv. The question is, how long can Ukraine's capital hold out for? With Rajesh Pawar in Kyiv, Bureau Report, India Today.
What's playing out right now in Ukraine, the world is watching. And there's no doubt that right now, as things stand, we're witnessing Cold War 2.0 between the United States and Russia. They're going head to head. They're not holding back or naming each other and slamming each other. And also, of course, there are all the sanctions that are being imposed by the United States and the counter steps being taken by Russia. Our next report, we talk about what really this Cold War 2.0 means to the global geopolitical order.
Right full rudder, reverse starboard engine. Right full rudder, hold back starboard shaft. Hold back starboard shaft.
An iconic scene from perhaps the world's most famous Cold War film, harking back to a time of terrifying distrust. Nuclear hair triggers and a world even just a breath away from intercontinental mass destruction. Cut forward a few decades, and a very hot war in Ukraine has a cloud of the old Cold War all around it. Sit back while we prove to you that we are in Cold War 2.0. Proof 1. Direct US-Russia tension. The first piece of proof: the war in Ukraine has sparked the most high-level tensions between the US and Russia in decades, with both superpowers reviving historic angst to paint each other as global imperialistic aggressors running roughshod over world peace.
Did you ask me whether I was called? Oh, I think he is a war criminal.
Proof 2. Big global realignment. The second piece of proof is the global realignment of the international order. Hugely reminiscent of Cold War pressures, complex linkages aside, the world stands massed against Russia, its ally China, a neutral India, with the United States making it clear to nations that they are against Russia or with Russia. The crisis in Ukraine is visible, crafting a new world order. Proof 3. Nuke forces on high alert. The most tangible revival of Cold War tensions is clear in Russia's move to place its nuclear forces on high alert in the wake of NATO movements to help Ukraine. The move by Putin, explained away as a defensive posture by Moscow, has ratcheted up nuclear tensions to dangerous Cold War levels, forcing other nuclear nations, by most accounts, to keep their nukes dusted and ready too. Proof 4. Biowarfare allegations. The allegations of biological weapons laboratories and experimentation with germ warfare are also typical of the Cold War era crossfire. Russia threw the first punch in the current crisis by accusing the US of maintaining biowarfare facilities on Ukrainian soil. The US hit back, saying Putin intends to use bioweapons of his own, and the allegation is just cover fire for his own insidious intentions. Proof 5. Isolation through airspace. With several nations closing their airspace to Russia, the sense of geographic isolation has heightened dramatically in the first few weeks of the Ukraine invasion. With few flights in and out of Russia, the alienation of a superpower is palpable, and in many ways is even more than how it was during the Cold War. Proof 6. Moscow unplugged from global economy. The crippling sanctions against Russia haven't slowed Putin's military rumble in Ukraine, but Russian citizens are most definitely feeling the heat. A Soviet-era arrogance that Russia can survive without the global economy is also representative of Cold War-era confidence. The suggestion that the world needs Russia more than Russia needs the world. Proof 7. Mass mobilization across Europe. Perhaps the most visible manifestation of a new Cold War, the readiness of militaries in Europe, across NATO nations, and the move of several other countries like Finland to consider joining NATO, creating a spectre of the Russian menace. The suggestion that it's Ukraine today and the other countries next, painting a scary Cold War scenario that goes just beyond the cold. There's real combat taking place in Ukraine for a whole month and counting. One thing is certain, whenever that battle ends, Cold War 2.0 won't end anytime soon. With Shivaru, Bureau Report, India Today.